I legitimately don't even know what to say. The Edmonton Oilers, after being down 3-0 at the end of the first period, a first period where they took 3 penalties. They gave up a 5-on-3 to the Panthers. The Panthers scored 2 power play goals. The Oilers had 7 shots on goal. The Panthers had 18 shots on net. A period where Edmonton looked like they didn't even belong in the same league as the Florida Panthers. The Oilers were down 3-0. And somehow, some way, they find a way to win and tie this series up at 2. They were down 3-0. They came back. They tied the game in the second 3-3. Wallman gives them the go-ahead goal with 6.5 minutes to go. But Reinhart, an unbelievably clutch moment from Sam Reinhart, ties the game with 19 seconds to go in the third period. And then the Oilers find a way to win it in overtime. And my voice, listen, I did a live stream tonight. If you were there, thank you all so much. Obviously, the live stream, the highs and lows of a live stream are crazy. I had basically a full-blown crash out during that live stream. Anyone that was tuning in probably saw how I was reacting, and you were probably all with me. If you're an Oilers fan, you probably understand what my reaction was like during that first period, because I basically said it's over, right? I put out a tweet saying that it's over. The game's done. In my Discord server, I put in a comment, or I put in a post in the post-game questions or comments section, and I was like, yeah, this game's over, so just send me your questions and comments now, because Edmonton's not going to come back. Big dummy head. Big dummy head always reverse jinxes somehow. The Oilers find a way. They take home ice back from the Florida Panthers in a game that was, it was over, right? There has never been a time in the Stanley Cup Final where a team has come back from 3 goals down after the first period. There has never been a time where that's ever happened in the Stanley Cup Final until tonight. The Oilers are the first team ever in Stanley Cup Final history to come back from 3 goals down after the first period. And Sid from Oilers Nation, I just have to show this meme that he posted. By the way, give NHL Sid a follow. He's unbelievable. He's great with the advanced analytics. He writes for Oilers Nation. He's just amazing. We love Sid here in Oil Country. His meme tonight, it's over. We're back. It's so over. We are so back. It's effing over. We are effing back. It's so effing over. We are so effing back. It never even began. We never left. We didn't leave. I might have left. And a lot of you might have left too. I wouldn't blame anyone for actually leaving during that game. That was a putrid, an absolutely disturbing first period for the Edmonton Oilers. It legitimately looked like, and I'm going to be honest, Panthers fans, if you're tuning in, welcome in. Good game. A little fist bump for you. It legitimately looked like men against boys. The Florida Panthers, of course, were the men. The Edmonton Oilers were the boys. It looked like Edmonton did not want it at all. They looked like they didn't want it. And the unsung hero of this game is Calvin Pickard. Calvin Pickard, big dick picks. You know what I'm saying? He comes in and he stonewalls the Florida Panthers. He gives up 1 goal. On how many shots did the Oilers give up with Pickard in the net? I think 22. Hold on. Yes. 22 saves on 23 shots for Calvin Pickard. He is my number 1 star. He came in and he locked it down for an Oilers team that needed a couple saves. He made some big saves in that second period, including on a breakaway by Lundell. And then Darnell Nurse, he scored not long after to make it 3-2. And then the Oilers tied up Vasily Podkolzin a few minutes later after that. But for my Stuart Skinner fans, of course, the Stuart Skinner hockey card that's always on my desk because I always believe in Stu. We love Stu on the channel. I always try and be as positive as I can. For Stuart Skinner, was that first period on him? Absolutely not. Do I blame Knobloch for pulling Stu after the first period? Also, no. No, I do not. The Oilers were down 3-0. They needed something. They needed a shift in momentum. Whatever it took. Chris Knobloch, he had no other option, in my opinion. That first period could have gotten even worse out of hand. I think Stu was Edmonton's best player in that first period. They gave up 3 goals, and Stuart Skinner was still the best player, in my opinion. The saves that he had to make, especially in the first 6-7 minutes, that one diving save that he made, he came across the ice Oh my goodness on Bennett. What a save that was. Probably his best save of the playoffs, other than that diving save against the Dallas Stars in Game 2 from the conference final. Stuart Skinner, he came in. He did his job. Not one single player in front of Stu did their job. And for Chris Knobloch, he made the switch. He decided to go with Calvin Pickard. There was nothing else he could do. Chris Knobloch had only one other option. You either keep playing Stu and maybe you come back, or you put Pickard in and you force the team in front of Pickard to play better, play for your goalie, and find a way. Dig in and find a way, and they did. Chris Knobloch was shuffling the lines in the first period. We already had Troy Stetcher in the lineup for Klingberg. We already had Jeff Skinner in the lineup for Arvidsson. By the way, I think Jeff Skinner played great. I don't think not Victor Arvidsson. I don't think Troy Stetcher saw the ice after the first period. He had one shift in the second, and I'm pretty sure he just did not see the ice at any point the rest of the game. Don't know if he's hurt. Don't know if that was a calculated decision by the Oilers coaching staff just to shorten the bench. But for Chris Knobloch, he was switching lines all over the place in that first period. He was trying to get guys going. That Draisaitl, Kane, Kapanen line was not working at all in the first period. And you saw Draisaitl with a ton of different line mates. Draisaitl was having one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. Darnell Nurse, oh my God. I put out a tweet saying that as soon as the playoffs are done, you buy out Darnell Nurse, because I thought Darnell Nurse had the worst period of hockey in Oilers history. In Oilers history, at least in my lifetime. Darnell Nurse took a stupid penalty to give Florida a 5-on-3 that they scored on. Darnell Nurse ended up leaving the ice after the one penalty kill, even though the puck was in the defensive zone that led to a goal against. And then Darnell Nurse was also on the ice for a goal against when he was penalty killing. He could not clear the puck, and he was just standing around. It was a disaster. Darnell Nurse legitimately may have had the worst period in Oilers history for a defenseman. I'm not even kidding. It was awful. But redemption arc. The redemption arc for Darnell Nurse. That second period, he comes in, a huge goal, goes over the shoulder of Bobrovsky, which, by the way, the Oilers can beat Bobrovsky up high. Bobrovsky can be leaky. He can be leaky. And then Darnell Nurse, he set up the tying goal to Podkolzin, which I wish Podkolzin would have had a bit more ice time. The Oilers' depth showed up. The Oilers' top gun showed up. And the Oilers find a way to tie this series. We are going to go over the edge visualizer for this game. We'll go over the box score, the money puck, and then we're gonna close things out. I don't have a voice to answer too many questions. I'll try and answer a couple from the Discord. I did not put out a tweet tonight, so if you follow me on Twitter, I do apologize that I didn't put out a tweet for questions tonight. I'll answer a few from the Discord, but that's going to be it if you hang out till the end. And let's get right into it for the post-game fan reaction for, of course, the edge visualizer. Like I said, it was 3-0 Florida. If we take a look at all the stats here, right? Shots were 17-7 for Florida after the first period. And then after that, 28 to 19, 23? 28 to 23 shots on net the rest of the way. The Oilers outshot the Florida Panthers after the first period, 17-10 in the second, 9-7 Florida in the third, and then 4-4 in overtime. Tkachuk scored 2 goals in the first on the power play. Lundell scored late to make it 3-0, and many of us thought it was over, including myself. I'm going to be honest. I legitimately thought that the game was over at 3-0. I did not think Edmonton could come back, but the Oilers, they got a power play goal from Nugent Hopkins. They got a goal from Darnell Nurse. They got a goal from Podkolzin. They got a goal from Wallman, 4 unanswered to give them the lead. And then Sam Reinhart with the late game heroics with 20 seconds left. He tied this thing up. And then Draisaitl ends up scoring the winner. Podkolzin with the assist. The edge visualizer will take a look at all the goals for your Edmonton Oilers. Now, on the power play, McDavid gives the puck back to Bouchard. Bouchard back to McDavid. He'll play it down low to Draisaitl. Draisaitl across to Nuge. And then what a shot by Nuge, right? We know Nuge is dealing with something. We don't know if he's injured. We don't know if he's sick. But if he's injured, oh boy, he still has his patented wrist shot. He picked the top shelf over Bobrovsky's head. Bobrovsky went down early. Nugent Hopkins, well, that made it a 2-goal game. And then you could feel the momentum starting to swing. The Oilers continued to push. And then Darnell Nurse later in that period, after the breakaway save on Lundell by Pickard, the Oilers get the puck in deep. Skinner cycles it to Henry, gives it to Ekholm. Ekholm plays it to Darnell Nurse. And again, Bobrovsky, he goes down early. Darnell Nurse picks his corner over the right shoulder of Bobrovsky. That makes it a 1-goal game. And then only 2.5 minutes later, Darnell Nurse off of a faceoff win by Draisaitl, which was key. Draisaitl struggled in the faceoff dot for Edmonton. He wins it back to Nurse. Nurse, instead of just throw it, now Nurse in the past, Nurse in normal circumstances usually just chucks the puck towards the net. Sometimes he hits it, sometimes it goes wide. Whatever the case is, Darnell Nurse did something that he doesn't usually do, and I think it threw the Panthers off guard. Darnell Nurse, he skated all the way around away from a check, and he tries to wrap it around. He centers it out in front. A rebound comes to Podkolzin, who backhands it past Sergei Bobrovsky over his blocker, and that gave the Oilers the tying goal, and it was tied all the way into the third period until Jake Wallman, he gave the Oilers the go-ahead goal. The Oilers, their top line was forechecking Nugent Hopkins in on the forecheck. Edmonton trying to get a change in. Barkov loses the puck off of Nugent Hopkins. It comes to Kapanen. Now, Kapanen could have had a lane here. He could have shot, but he decides, you know what? I see Wallman coming in. I'm going to feed it to Wallman. Wallman just blasts it past the glove of Bobrovsky. That gave the Oilers the 1-goal lead, and Edmonton did everything they could to defend that lead, but Reinhart on the dump-in. Pickard tries to make a play here. Pickard could have just stopped this puck. He has Bouchard. He has Kulak. He could even take time, skate it to the side of his net, and then throw it down the ice if he wanted to. Pickard tried to play it around the boards. He fans on it. Kulak, he can't make the play. Puck comes out in front. You have Kulak and Bouchard aligned in their positioning. You have Reinhart, who managed to find himself open net. Calvin Pickard came flying out of his crease, and Florida, they tie this thing up, and oh my goodness. Now, Oilers fans, a lot of us were panicking, but I felt good heading to that overtime. I felt good heading to the overtime, and the Oilers get a fluky one. The puck came into the neutral zone. Bouchard, he hangs on. He gives it to Ekholm. Ekholm throws it up the boards. Podkolzin, what a tip pass, by the way. Perry lets it go to Draisaitl. Now, Draisaitl comes in. It's a partial 2-on-1 here. What Draisaitl's trying to do is find Corey Perry on the back door. Corey Perry also in a position to one-time it. Mikkola, what he's trying to do is block that pass. He's trying to get Draisaitl to take a backhand shot because Draisaitl's not a right-handed shot. Mikkola, he's in the perfect position, right? Draisaitl doesn't have a proper shot. Draisaitl's trying to shovel that puck through on the backhand off of Mikkola's legs, and it goes through the 5-hole of Bobrovsky. And the Oilers, when it was just, you think it's over. You think this game is over. And somehow they find a way to win it. And just one of the most unbelievable hockey games I've ever watched. Other than their one performance in Game 3, every game has gone to overtime. 4-3 Edmonton in Game 1, 5-4 Florida in double overtime in Game 2, and then 5-4 Edmonton in regular overtime here in Game 4. This is an unbelievable Stanley Cup Final between these two teams. They are so evenly matched. It's crazy to even think about. Now, if we look at the points tonight, Draisaitl had 3 points. Big game from him. Podkolzin, 2 points. Nuge, 2 points. Henrique, Kapanen, McDavid, all with a point. Now, of course, you want a little bit more depth, of course. I thought Evander Kane had an okay game. Didn't like his penalty that he took in the first. I thought Jeff Skinner, despite not showing up on the score sheet, had a very effective game for Edmonton. He didn't play much, only 12:33. He better be in the lineup on home ice. I liked Jeff Skinner's game personally. If you look at the defenseman time on ice, well, Troy Stecher only played 4:18. He took a high stick to the face late in that first period that was not called, and I'm wondering if that potentially injured him. I don't know if he got injured later. He only played 1 shift in the second, nothing in the third or OT. The Oilers went 5 D-men tonight, and if you take a look at the points, Ekholm with 2 assists, his best game of the postseason. Nurse with 2 points. Terrible first period, but his best 40-plus minutes after that, and then Wallman with a goal. Huge game from Edmonton's defense tonight. Massive, massive game. And then Calvin Pickard, of course, with the .957 save percentage. Absolutely key for Edmonton. And if we take a look at the money puck, the deserved to win meter, it's briefly in Florida's favor. Pretty even overall. 5% is usually my range where it could go back and forth. But Florida did have the edge here in this game. If we scroll all the way down, expected goals in all situations, 4.52 to 4.77 in favor of Florida. If we go 5-on-5, the Oilers had a very slight edge, 3.75 to 3.1. So this was an evenly played game, despite that first period being horrifically bad for Edmonton. Jeff Skinner led the way in expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5 for the Oilers. And the bottom of the barrel, you had Kapanen, Kane, Brown, Draisaitl, Stetcher didn't. 4 minutes is a very small sample size. You had Skinner, Frederick, Henrique, Perry, Wallman. They were all great for Edmonton tonight. And if we take a look at the defensive pairs, Ekholm, Wallman did great. Kulak, Nurse, okay. Kulak, Bouchard, also okay. They don't have all the defensive pairs. If we take a look at the forward line, Skinner, Henrique, Frederick did great. Perry, Draisaitl, Podkolzin did great. And then Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Brown, they didn't play a whole lot together. Kane, Janmark, Kapanen, not good. The Oilers have a lot of decisions to make heading towards Game 5 on home ice, but because you have home ice advantage, you can get the change that you want. Ekblad, Barkov, Reinhart, Forsling, Verhaeghe, that is the top 5 for the Florida Panthers. They were all in the bottom tier of expected goals for percentage tonight. And Calvin Pickard with almost 1 full goal saved above expected. Stuart Skinner, he was basically even on the night. Negative 0.06 goals saved above expected. None of that is on Pickard at all. Literally. Like, if anyone is blaming Stuart Skinner for that first period, I'm sorry. Like, it's just nothing about that first period is even remotely on Stuart Skinner. He's the only one that showed up. He's the only one that prevented that lead from being 5 or 6 for the Florida Panthers. So Calvin Pickard came in. Pickard improves to 7-0. You start Pickard in Game 5. The team found a way to do it in front of Pickard. It's a mental thing now. They seem to play better in front of Calvin Pickard, and you have to continue to play that way if you're going to find success. The Oilers with an improbable comeback against one of the best defensive teams in the entire NHL, against one of the best defensive teams in the postseason. Unbelievable. Now let's get to some questions from the fans, all right? There's not a whole lot. We'll take a look at what we have here on the Discord. Now, I put out a thing, right? Where did I put it? Hold on. I said 9:50 p.m. Wait, no, where was it? Where did I put my day after message? Excuse me, was it post-game discussion maybe? Yeah, it was post-game discussion. So I put, all right, folks, the game is done. Send your questions for tonight's crash out. Now, I'm glad I was wrong. This was at 7:18 p.m. after the first period. I'm so glad that I was wrong. So Zach said I had to change my question after that amazing comeback. We all agree that the first period was abysmal. Then I told you in chat, second period tells the true tale. Also, I said we need to switch goalies every game. Looks like I was right. My question now, can our poor hearts take all of this abuse? As long as Edmonton finds a way to win it all, I don't care how much abuse my heart takes. I will consider it worth it as long as Edmonton can find a way to win it all. I love that. Thank you, Zach, for your question. Ren says, if we don't win it this year, when do we? When will we? Can we? Of course we can. Of course we can. Can we get an update on this? Well, of course, we're getting the update. I look like a dummy head for giving up after the first period. Jonathan said, going to be an amazing crash out during the fan reaction. Well, guess what? No crash out tonight. And then Talkative Introvert said, just watch the highlights. What was that game winner? A lucky game winner for Edmonton. It was a lucky game winner for the Oilers, right? Xenu says, can we please get a lead and sustain it in Game 5? I would want nothing more than that. I promise you, Xenu, if the Oilers could just win a game normally for once in our life, that would be great. That would be great. Our hearts cannot take it, but I don't care how they got the job done tonight. Do not care. Zeno also said 2013 Stanley Cup Final vibes. Of course, that was between the Bruins and the Chicago Blackhawks. The Bruins had a 2-1 series lead. They lost Game 4 in overtime. Then they lost Game 5, and then they lost Game 6. Of course, I am also a Bruins fan. They're my second favorite team. Don't like to talk about that, but Zeno might be onto something. We won't count our chickens, though. We won't get too far ahead of ourselves. Ren says, how about that $14 million contract on who? Who's getting the $14 million contract? Is that Bouchard? Is that Bouchard getting the $14 million? Nah, that's too much. Too much money for Bouchard. Of course, you're talking about Leon Draisaitl, who scored the game winner. Let's go. That contract does not kick in until next season, by the way. Worth every single penny. Jonathan says, honestly, don't know what to say. Tough pull for Stu, but it had to be done. Pickard played great. Draisaitl with 4 overtime goals, which is the most in NHL history for a single postseason. Got to take advantage of home ice now. I agree 100%. And again, the pull on Stuart Skinner was not on Stu, right? That is not Stuart Skinner's fault. We are not sitting here and blaming Stuart Skinner at all for that first period. The Oilers came out flat. The Panthers came out on a mission. And I did mention it in the first period. I didn't think the Oilers would come back, obviously, with how I reacted. But I did mention before the start of the second period, I said, Florida might have emptied the tank. They might have emptied their gas tank in that first period to just get as big of a lead as possible and then try and hold it. They couldn't hold it. The Oilers come back and win. And now tomorrow is a travel day, and then they play Saturday night. So does this benefit Edmonton? Does it benefit Florida? I think the 1 day off only for travel benefits the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see how the game goes on Saturday. I cannot wait for Game 5. Edmonton gets home ice advantage back. What a game, Oil Country! Round of applause, of course, to everyone that tuned into the live stream tonight. The amount of super chats, the amount of donations, the amount of gifted memberships, I cannot thank you all enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are seriously incredible. Before you head out on this video tonight, or if you're watching this the next day, smash that like button. And as always, tell someone that you love them. All right? Tell someone that you love them. Fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go, Oilers. This series is far from over, folks. The Oilers have home ice advantage back. We'll see you on Saturday morning for the pregame, Saturday night for the live stream. Can't wait to see you there. Take care.